Well, I think it's fair to say the opening weekend of this championship season has not disappointed, and we've still got a couple more games to come as well. Today we've obviously got Sheffield Wednesday going up against Plymouth, and tomorrow we've got that really juicy fixture between Luton and Burnley. But what an opening round of games it was in the championship. Do drop your thoughts on them down below. Also this weekend we saw plenty more new signings making their debuts for their clubs, and that will be the focus of today's video. We've got an abundance of transfer rumours currently going around the championship, all of which will be discussed today. As always, drop all your thoughts in the comments down below on the latest news. If you're not subscribed already, make sure to go ahead and do so. But without any further ado, let's jump into the transfer news. We saw Anthony Rakiopi signing for Hull City. He joins the Tigers as another goalkeeping option signed from Young Boys. 25-year-old was on the bench against Bristol City for Hull City's opening game. I'm sure he'll push for that #1 spot this year. We also saw Hull City completing that deal for Liam Miller as well. Now, I've seen it reported that they got that deal over the line for as cheap as 1.5 million, which I think is an absolute bargain for the Tigers. Obviously, was introduced in that game against Bristol City as a second half substitute, looked really lively as well, and I think Hull have got a really good deal here. I really do. I think that the sort of football they're going to look to play this season, I think Miller will absolutely thrive in that system. Always felt like at North End when he was on loan last season, he was forced to play with the handbrake on at times because he had so many defensive responsibilities, usually playing as a wing-back. That won't be the case at Hull. He is the sort of player who will get you up and out your seat. And don't get me wrong, there is still quite a bit of inconsistency about his game, but he's still a player who's learning, and if that fee of around 1.5 million is correct, I think Hull have got an absolute bargain with that deal. Finley Burns, another player who Hull have brought in. The defender's coming on loan from Manchester City for the season. Also came on as a substitute in that opening game against Bristol City. He spent last season out on loan with Stevenage, and so this will be the next stage of his development. 21 years old. Comes with a good reputation. I think that's a nice pickup on loan as well. And suddenly that Hull squad is really starting to come together now. We saw Micah Hamilton completing his move to Middlesbrough. He was an unused substitute for Michael Carrick's side on the opening game week of the season. The 20-year-old coming over from Manchester City on a permanent basis. Very much looking forward to seeing more of him over these next few months. He's joined Borough on a 4-year deal. We saw Norwich City completing a deal for Forson Amankwa, who's coming over from RB Salzburg. Midfielder did come on as a second half substitute in that season opener against Oxford. Obviously wasn't a game which went to plan for Norwich whatsoever, but had some decent touches in that game, I thought. Definitely a player in there going forward for Norwich. And we saw Stoke City signing Lewis Kumas on loan from Liverpool. The 18-year-old joins Stoke, and this will be the next stage of his development. I think that's quite an exciting pickup. Great result for Stoke on the opening game week of the season, by the way, beating Coventry. Really good performance from the Potters in that one, and Kumas will be a nice addition on loan. Also, one deal that did go through last week, but we forgot to mention it on last time's video, was Zamfir Potnik signing for Swansea City. The Slovenian forward did come on as a second half substitute in Swansea's season opener against Borough. The 6'1" striker's coming over from Bordeaux, where he scored 10 goals last season. We've seen Sheffield United completing a deal for Tyrese Campbell. He joins the Blades on a free transfer after his contract at Stoke City ran out this summer. Now, quite a few championship clubs had been sniffing around Campbell. He had a few offers on the table, but in the end, Sheffield United have won the race to sign him. He's an interesting player. Going back a few years now, he was one of the most exciting prospects in the championship. Since that point, injuries haven't been kind to him. He's not really been able to kick on and progress like a lot of Stoke and just general fans of the championship thought he would have. But he's still only 24 years old, just a question of whether or not you can get him back to those previous levels that he once showcased at this level. But those are some of the done deals we've seen going through in the championship over these past few days. Now, without any further ado, let's jump into the rumours. And I think there's really only one place we can start out, and that's with Jonny Rowe, because this story has absolutely exploded over the weekend with everything that's gone on with the Norwich City winger. Now, last time we spoke about this one, we were mostly discussing the interest that Leeds United had. They'd obviously identified Rowe as a potential replacement for Somerville. But since that point, we've had Marseille coming in for the winger, submitting a formal bid, and the biggest twist to this whole saga was Rowe himself pulling himself out of contention for Norwich City's opening game against Oxford, which they obviously went on to lose 2-0. I think this one has left a bit of sour taste, and rightly so, in a lot of Norwich City fans' mouths after that opening game week. I get from the players' side, if you are pushing for the move, you don't want a big injury or anything like that before anything potentially goes through, but at the end of the day, the player who's come through the Norwich Academy, they're the team that's paying his wages right now, and to pull himself out of contention for the squad, I'm pretty sure on the morning of the game as well, don't think that reflects great on him, but with this update, I think we can all agree he's definitely going to be leaving this summer. Move to Marseille seems most likely at this point, but we'll wait and see if Leeds United come in with another offer. Speaking of Leeds United and how this could influence them, well, it seems like they're prepared to move on from Jonny Rowe and put all of their efforts into signing Crystal Palace winger Jezrin Rakzaki, who's been heavily linked with a loan move to the Championship this summer. Last time we spoke about the Crystal Palace winger, we were mostly discussing Sheffield United's interest in him. It seemed like they were most nailed on to land the winger on a season-long loan deal where they'd be paying a loan fee of around about £1 million and covering all of his wages. However, we have had a bit of a twist in this story, as it now seems that Leeds United are going to push to sign the winger on a permanent basis, with it now being floated that Leeds are going to go in with an opening offer of £15 million for the Crystal Palace winger to sign him permanently. Now, it's already been quite well documented throughout this summer that Crystal Palace don't want to sell him. They would be prepared to send him out on loan to the Championship for him to get that first team experience and to build him up. The idea of a permanent transfer hasn't really been on the cards this summer. Whether or not that could change with a lucrative offer of around about £15 million coming in, we'll have to wait and see. But that could have a knock-on effect to Sheffield United, who did seem like they were in prime position to sign him on loan just a few days ago. The Blades could be in a difficult situation when it comes to Michael Cooper as well, obviously. Still looking for a new goalkeeper, Sheffield United. The Plymouth shot stopper has been very high on the agenda all summer. They've been heavily linked with the move for Cooper, who is crucially in the last year of his contract with Plymouth Argyle right now, but reportedly Plymouth have set a £6 million value on Cooper's head, which Sheffield United don't seem keen to pay right now, especially with the goalkeeper in that last year of his contract. It's a tough one that Plymouth find themselves in this situation because Cooper clearly won't be committing to a new contract at the club, and so if they are going to squeeze some money out of him, this is the summer to sell. But on the flip side, they don't want to lose him for under his market value, but the risk of losing him on a free transfer next summer does increase if he doesn't go in these next few weeks. But it's not all negative news for Sheffield United. Reportedly, Gustavo Hamer's relegation release clause has now expired. Reportedly, that was only active until the 10th of August. So despite the transfer window still being open until the end of the month, Hamer's release clause is no longer active. And so if a club wants to sign him, it'll have to be an agreed upon fee between Sheffield United and the buying club. A club can't just automatically go in, trigger his release clause and take him out of there. Now, I've got to admit, the prospect of Sheffield United keeping hold of Gus Hamer over a full Championship season, I mean, it'd be absolutely incredible, and I would be absolutely staggered if no one comes in for him between now and the end of the window, obviously. I was at Deepdale for the opening game week of the season, watched him in the flesh. He's just way too good for this level. The goal was gifted to him. It was a bad Freddie Woodman mistake, but still pounced on that really well. The guy's way too good for the Championship, but the fact that his release clause has reportedly expired is massive news for the Blades. We have had a bit of a bizarre transfer story, which has sort of come out of nowhere, with Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain being linked with a move to Sheffield United, potentially with the Blades looking to strike a loan deal with the Besiktas midfielder, and reportedly the Turkish side are happy to see Oxlade-Chamberlain moved on this summer. Now, earlier in the window, I remember there were some reports linking Oxlade-Chamberlain with a move to Southampton, but they've seemingly gone quiet since. It would be an ambitious move, and to see Oxlade-Chamberlain in the Championship would be very exciting, but how realistic is this rumour? I'm not so sure. Stoke City are still working hard to sign a new number 9 between now and the end of the transfer window, and Jay Stansfield is their latest target. Reportedly, the Potters have open talks with Fulham over a deal for Stansfield. Now, Tom Cannon has been a primary target for Stoke over these past few weeks. Potentially an alternative could be Stansfield, and this would be another really ambitious move by Stoke. He was really good and lively last season for Birmingham, despite despite their relegation, he was predominantly their most threatening attacker. Really good movement in and around the box and a really tidy finisher as well. I think that anyone at Championship level who picks up Stansfield is getting a really good number 9 for this level. That'll be a big deal if they manage to pull that off. Bristol City forward Tommy Conway is now in advanced talks with Middlesbrough, as that seems his most likely destination this summer. Now, plenty of Championship clubs have been in talks with Bristol City over a move for Conway. We've had Burnley, Hull City and Middlesbrough among the clubs chasing him, but the latest updates would suggest that it is the Riverside where Conway is heading. Going off the information by Fabrizio Romano, it's been claimed that a 4-year deal is being discussed for Conway to join Borough this summer. And I really can't stress just how excited I am over this deal. Karamoko Dembele heading to Queen's Park Rangers, a deal being agreed with Brest in the region of €3 million. Dembele's in England this weekend to go ahead and complete his medical at QPR, and what a signing that could be. Plenty of Championship and even a few Premier League clubs in earlier stages of this window were sniffing around Dembele, but it looks like QPR have won the race to sign him, and I'm really excited to see him in the Championship. He's coming off the back of a really good loan spell with Blackpool in League One last season, where he scored 8 goals and got 13 assists in the league, averaging a goal contribution in League One every 125 minutes. He's only 21 years old as well, so still really young. And for a fee of around 2.5 million, I think QPR are getting a really good deal here. If he has a few good years at QPR, I think the potential sell-on value with someone like Dembele is absolutely massive. It's exactly the sort of player that QPR have been in need of as well, especially after Willock leaving. But I think he'll add a new dynamic to that QPR attack, and yeah, really excited about the prospect of him at QPR. Jeppe Ockels is the latest winger being linked with a move to Preston North End. Obviously, we are looking to inject a bit more creativity into our side, looking for that Liam Miller replacement right now. And there are quite a few links and reports coming out from around Europe, heavily linking North End with a move for the Denmark winger. Now, it's quite an interesting transfer story. Up until this point, the 25-year-old has spent most of his career playing in Denmark and Sweden, but only back in January he made the move over to the Eredivisie. He played a handful of games, but he's already been linked with the move away despite being under contract until 2027 right now. But the reports to him have been quite prominent, and going off Ryan Lowe's latest comments, it does seem as if North End do have another signing lined up. Right now it appears like that could be Ockels. Derby County are being linked with the move for Luton Town forward Corley Woodrow. Obviously Paul One's side desperately in need of a little bit more firepower. They're currently looking at Woodrow. It's an interesting transfer link. Woodrow is someone who, I mean, years gone by I've really rated quite highly, especially at Championship level, but he has spent the last couple of years now at Luton being a backup option, and if you're looking for the last time he hit double figures, you're going back to 2020/21. The goal output perhaps isn't the same as it once was. In Derby's situation, I can understand why they're looking at a player like Woodrow. But there you have it, guys. Those are some of the latest transfer rumours currently going around the Championship. Any others that you've seen, make sure to get them in the comments down below. But apart from that, thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next one.